Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well with the stay-at-home orders. I am going to make some good old Southern buttermilk biscuits. So I thought I'd bring you along. Now, for this recipe, I use self-rising flour. I use all-purpose for most everything else, but for my biscuits, as a general rule, I'm going to use self-rising. If you don't have self-rising, then you can look up your substitutions for what you would need as far as baking soda and baking powder for 2 cups of self-rising flour. And actually what I'll do is when I get through with this, I'll look that up for you. And then that way, and I'll put it in the video. That way you won't have to worry about it. I'll do that. But I'm going to use 2 cups of my self-rising flour. It's just what I like. To me, it just, well, it's what my mother always used, to be honest with you. Let's just face it, a lot of what we do in the kitchen is based on what our mamas and mamas and grannies and nannies and meemaws and did, right? Unless we just find something that's a little better. And, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Make sure I've still got you in view. Bear with me. Okay. So 2 cups of my self-rising flour. Now, to that, I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of shortening. Okay? Very important. Now, get my pastry cutter. I am so unprepared, y'all. I'm so unprepared to do anything. Are y'all feeling that same way? Hold on a minute. Let me wash my pastry cutter real quick. If you don't have a pastry cutter, you can still make this recipe. All you need is 2 forks and just kind of use the tines together to mix in or to cut in your shortening. Sorry guys, it's still early and I need more coffee. But anyway, I'm just going to cut this in real good. I want to make sure that my shortening is really incorporated in this because I don't want to have clumps of my shortening. I don't want to have clumps of shortening that are not evenly distributed. Well, gosh, guys, I need to go back to bed, don't I? I'm having trouble this morning. Pretty early here. Well, it's not too early, but it's not mid-morning either. I guess depending on where you are, you might think it is. Anyway, so I've got that. Make sure that you get any little clumps that didn't get in there. Okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 3/4 cup of buttermilk. Now, if you don't have buttermilk, there are substitutions that you can use, and I have some of those substitutions listed on my Facebook page under my Alabama home. So, once again, there's always a few ways to do things, right? I'm making a mess with this, y'all. I might just add and if you need to, you can add just a little bit more of the buttermilk as you go. I may have to switch over to a spoon. I don't know why I didn't do that to start with. Okay, note to self. You know better than this. I was grabbing the first thing I saw this morning. Do y'all ever do that? Just grab something and start using it. But that's okay. We're all human. We're all under a lot of stress, aren't we? I am glad to see that a lot of people are doing more cooking at home. But gosh, y'all, the problem is keeping the kitchen clean. That's a booger, isn't it? That's the one thing. When you do scratch cooking, you got to be on your game as far as keeping that kitchen clean. Okay, I think I've got most of this out, or as much as I'm going to actually worry about and fool with and all that kind of stuff. Good to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the mistakes, because we all make them in the kitchen. I've made this recipe 100 times, and I never used this thing right here. I don't know why I decided to today. Just a tad more. Now, if you find when you're making this, make sure I get the right kind of utensil. I don't want anything that's going to mess up again. That's just one more dish to wash. I'll get this. Now, if you find that your biscuits are a little too dry, add buttermilk like I'm doing. Okay. And if you're finding that your biscuits are too wet, then, well, all you got to do is just add a little bit more of the flour. You want to keep going until you get all of that incorporated. Now you can lay this all out and kind of knead it just a little bit. You don't want to work with your dough too much, kneading it. Just enough to get everything incorporated. I don't want to go through all that, because what I think I'm going to do is just keep going this way. My hands are clean. Just keep working all that in there. Now, what I'm going to do is sometimes I will pat these out and cut them with a biscuit cutter. If you don't have a biscuit cutter, you can also use like the rim of a drinking glass, or you can use, if you have like a the lid, not the lid, but the ring of like a canning jar, you can use that, which is what I use a lot of times. Or you can do what they call drop biscuits, which is what my mama 9 times out of 10 would make, and she would make a lot more than this dough. She would have to make a whole lot when everybody was at the house to eat. Let me move this. Now, let me get my cast iron. I like using cast iron for this. If you don't have cast iron, you can use whatever you got. You know, you're just putting it in. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that again. You're just getting it in your oven. But since I have one, and this is what I've always used, because once again, this is what my mama used. So you're going to just kind of form those. Now these are going to make some big biscuits in there. Well, when you do like this too, they're not going to make as many biscuits either, but I'm okay by that, because this is just for us to have for breakfast. So I'm not planning on saving them or freezing them. Now, you can also make a bunch of these to freeze if you want to. You can do that. So that one's a little bit bigger. One thing is you want to just kind of make sure that you got them all consistent. Now, this recipe is going to come out to making 5 biscuits. If you need more, you just double your recipe, or you can also make your biscuits smaller. But honestly, unless you just got a really big eater, one of these biscuits is probably going to be enough. Let's tear a little bit of that off for this guy. They're not totally the same, but they're enough. Now I'm just going to kind of smush them down a little bit. These are almost the size of a hamburger bun, aren't they? Now, this is what makes them so good. This is what my mom always did. Make sure y'all can see this. Okay. You want to take your buttermilk. Now, and when you're doing this, it's best to use the whole buttermilk. You want to pour a little bit of that buttermilk in a spoon, and you just want to coat the top with the buttermilk. Now, you could use butter, but there's just something about the buttermilk that just, I need a little bit more. Okay, see how that's smoothing that out? These are going to be good. Now, I'm going to put these in my preheated oven, and I'm going to, I'm going to put them in for about 10 minutes, and then we'll see where we're at, okay? So I'm going to do that, and then I'll bring you back. And, of course, if you've got some biscuits in the oven, well, you either need sausage gravy or you need sausage biscuits, right? Well, you don't have to. You can also put jelly in there. But today I'm making some, I'm going to make some sausage and biscuits. Kind of lift the spirits up. And there you go. I ended up keeping these in for 12 minutes because they were bigger. So you can just kind of watch them. See that smoothness from my buttermilk? Now I just need to butter these up and get my sausage ready. Breakfast is done. Doesn't that look delicious? Time to eat. I hope you enjoyed this little quick video. And I hope you're all doing well. Stay safe. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. And I'll talk to you later. Stay home.